Welcome to the Beauties Podcast, where we talk about everything you need to know about women's sports. From the grassroots to the pros, we got it all. Today on the show, Addie and Cowie talk about their experiences at the War for the Roses and how it compares to the Brick Tournament. Here are your hosts, Addie and Cowie.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Beauties Sports Desk. We're so excited to have you here. Today's episode is going to be a little different. It's going to be very hockey focused, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Me too. I think it is one that we have been holding in our pocket for a few days now, just coordinating logistics of getting things back set up, getting our thoughts together to sit down and talk about hockey together.
And it's been a little bit of a hockey crazy time, because even when we were away, because what we're going to be talking about a lot today is the War for the Roses tournament that we were at in Edmonton, Alberta. But we actually got to sit down with Reader too. And I hope everybody really enjoyed that episode with Erica Reader, because she's next level. She is absolutely next level.
She is next level in like all the ways.
Yeah.
As an athlete, she looks like an incredible athlete. She speaks like an incredible athlete. She's got the stories to go behind it. But the thing that stuck out the most is like that woman just is competitive, pure, plain and simple, and has a dream that she's chasing. And I agree with you. I hope that everyone enjoyed getting to hear a very unique story that we don't get to hear of very often.
No, definitely not. So, and one thing too, with Reader's episode, she actually sent an email later in the day. So I just want to make sure everybody knows she sent an email later in the day. And I just think it just shows the class of this human being, because she's like, you know, you can show this to the girls, you could show it to whatever, but we actually put it in the show notes of her episode for everybody to read. You know, it's called Choose the Challenge. And so she talks about why it's important to continuously choose the challenge of everything, the drill that you're in, every aspect of it. So we put it in the show notes. I highly encourage people to go and to read it, because you're not just hearing it from no Joe Schmo. She is... From somebody who had the opportunity to share the ice with her, she is incredible. And so I think a lot of what she says, choose the challenge, she was using it in an athletic standpoint, but I think we're going to use it in a different way today, because we were at a tournament, a very high level tournament, and we're going to talk about a lot of things today. And it could be, you know, a little bit of a challenge, but probably not that much, but challenging the status quo of a lot of things.
Yeah, I think we've said it. You hear it a lot in the world, and I think that's the Reader coin of choose your challenge, and that you'll hear lots of choose your hard. And that can be taken in your daily life, right? Yeah. What hard do you want to choose today? Do you want to sit on your couch and be a lump, or do you want to get up and go for a bike ride? Whatever those things are. And I think that this episode, yes, we are going to challenge, but that's also the purpose of this show. And that's what we have talked about since the very beginning, is that we are not going to sit here on our hands and say nothing. And so we had a great experience. We had a great week with a lot of great kids and a lot of great families. We met a lot of great people on opposing teams and within our own team that we didn't get to know super well ahead of that. But that is our job, is to challenge.
Yeah, that's right. And to go off of, you know, what you're just saying about a bunch of, you know, great people, it was cool to be in an environment, because the War for the Roses tournament is a week long, which is unique in itself, because it's viewed as a huge event for 09, specifically 09 female hockey players. So being a part of this event, a week almost feels like a month, in the sense of like everything is so condensed. You're like, it's like you're in the casinos in Vegas. They just keep pumping oxygen and you're just like, oh my God.
There were a few days where we said it feels like we've lived 2 days.
Yeah, this is 2 days in one for sure. So the amount of people we got to know was fantastic. It was very, very cool. But calling a spade, we got there a day early and we got to experience a little bit of the end of the boys' brick tournament, which happens the week prior. And then we went all the way to the end of the female tournament, the War of the Roses, all the way to the very end. And so what today's episode is what we're going to talk about is the differences that we saw.
Yeah.
Between the boys' brick tournament and the female War for the Roses tournament.
So let's set the stage a little bit. The brick has been around. This was the 33rd annual brick tournament. For boys, this is held in the highest regard of youth hockey, period. And it is the third year for the girls' War for the Roses, which, like we say, piggybacks on the back of the brick. It happens hours after the brick trophy is handed out. And there are some things that we need to talk about that we saw pretty much immediately when we walked into the arena.
Right. Yeah. And you're right in saying it is pretty much the female tournament starts less than 48 hours after the boys tournament starts.
Less than 24 hours.
Less than 24 hours. So we're talking pretty quick turnaround. So I got there a day early because that's how I roll. And I like to check things out. So I got to experience walking into a brick men's final, where when I walked into the rink, I saw banners, I saw logos, I saw like stuff everywhere. I saw VIP sections, I saw security. Every kid had credentials on. It was the dance.
Yeah.
It was the dance. I was like, okay, so I wanted to go scout out the dressing rooms for the girls because I wanted to make sure that, we've got 17 girls coming here. Like, we got to make sure that we've got room if they need their credentials, blah, blah, blah. So I went down and I said, hey, I'm the coach of one of the teams for next week for the War of the Roses. I'd love to just sneak on down and see what it's all about down there so our girls can be prepared.
Yeah.
And I had to prove it to get past the door, who I was, which fine, perfect.
Good.
Security, that's their security job. Yep, bingo. I had to prove it. And so I prove it, go downstairs, start looking around. And then I just had some general questions, how do our parents get into the VIP area if they'd like to do so? How can families stream from home? Just general questions about whatever. And to my surprise, none of it was available to the girls.
Yeah, and the guy who you asked was, he was very kind in answering the very first question. But I think he felt the heat, right? Because I was standing next to you, and you had asked him about the stream. And the broadcasters, and then you had said, asking about this VIP section. So just to set what this looks like, the rink is in the middle of the West Edmonton Mall, and there is a very small, let's call it, kind of put your skates on this little sunken in den that is this little loopy area where you can, get your stuff on before you go on the ice. And this is where the DJ was, and this is where the broadcasters were, and this is where the VIP section for the brick was set up. And when you asked him about how do our parents get into this VIP section, that's when you could feel him get awkward about it. And he actually said, and I'm going to let you say this, his answer was you could tell we caught him off guard, and you could tell it was the honest truth. Yeah. He goes,
oh, it's far too expensive to keep up for another week. Yeah. We're like, what?
Yeah. Pardon?
Whoa. That doesn't seem to be expensive at all. It's actually here right now, and you just have to leave it up.
Yeah.
Literally no expense.
Yeah.
So that was the part where I think And then followed up by, okay, all right, okay then. What about the streamers, the guys that are streaming the games? Oh,
no,
they'd actually leave as well. Okay, does the DJ need pronunciation of our girls' names? Oh, they don't stay either. And I was like, we are 0 for 3, pal.
Yeah, and that's when
0 for 3.
Yeah, and that's when he had the very nice "let me pass you off" here.
Yeah, I think you need to talk to so and so.
Yeah, who's organizing this thing, and you know, that was for us the very first moment of you kind of get your senses heightened.
Yeah.
Right, because you walk into, like we say, the middle of the West Edmonton Mall, which is not only packed with hockey fans, but it is packed with people, period. Mm-hmm. And it is a place that you are excited to be. It's a hockey experience you get nowhere else that I have ever experienced. And so that was that. I remember that moment of us going, oh, okay. Okay. And that's when the list started. And so when we refer to the list, we have an iPad sitting in front of us. And throughout the week, as we experienced the War for the Roses, we have parents who have experienced the brick with their children, and we not talked to enough people around the rink. And Addie was there. I got a very brief few moments there before they took everything down from the boys. We started to put together the list of stuff that just doesn't jive between a 33-year established tournament that happened, like you say, within 48 hours of the girls starting.
Yeah, it was an interesting moment, and the way that I, coming home and everybody was calling, asking, because the girls did great. Mm-hmm. The girls did great. It was an awesome tournament, and that's the one thing I will say is that the quality of hockey in this tournament, top notch.
Totally
top notch. Awesome tournament. Playing wise, when you get back and you start to talk to families and you start to talk to parents and, honestly, my parents, the easiest way for me to explain it is I felt like for the boys, the circus tent was up. They had everything up. They had the whole shablam. Everybody was there. And then it was like the girls' circus tent down, everything gone, nothing.
Yeah, I agree. And it, your mom said it. When I talked to my mom said it. It felt like we went back to you and me being an 09 playing in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Which wasn't a thing when we were there, which was not a tournament. There was not enough girls playing hockey for us to ever have ran that at that point. But it did feel like we were having a lot of the same conversations that we had when we were 12.
Yeah. And that's it's so funny because my mom said the same thing. Oh, well, what?
Yeah.
I guess you were used to that because that's what you guys got treated like when you were playing hockey. And I was like, and she's like, but that's insanity, right? So to not only go off the fact of like, we've been talking about the DJ booth and the VIP section and whatever, there was also no credentials and no security for the girls. And we actually talked to the security lady for the boys, and she was fantastic.
Yeah.
She did such a great job. And she literally looked at Cowie and I and said, what you guys should do though is make sure you have somebody here for security next week. 'Cause I'm gone. I'm not here for the girls. Yeah. I'm gone. So there was this blue barricade thing that was monitored by nobody, flapping in the wind in front of the door, pretending to be security for these girls. And so literally in the first day of us being here, you feel,
it's a second thought.
This is a second thought. There's no programs for parents to get with names on it. Yeah. No, nothing.
No.
Nowhere to buy a hoodie.
No.
Nowhere to buy a t-shirt. Nowhere to buy a hat.
No.
And then even going off of that, with our team being apparently, and we found this out when we got there, the sole
provider
of all of the tournament apparel. Yeah, so all the other teams were coming to our team to get apparel for a tournament that's like people are dying to be at. It was, and then we didn't know that, right? And then we find out, we're like, whoa, what are these people coming into our hospitality room? Oh, well, we have all their apparel, and this is what?
Yeah.
We are in charge of someone's apparel at, quote unquote, the female brick tournament?
Yeah.
Come on.
Because you and I said that when we went there on the weekend before our tournament started. It was like, okay, let's come early because we know that in a lot of these tournaments, there's limited stock. You're not going to bring all the sizes, all the quantities. So we said, we'll go Monday.
Yep.
We've got one game Monday. We'll come here early. We'll go Monday. We'll get our hoodie. At this point, we just assumed that this person who was pressing sweaters for all of these little boys and their parents was going to remain for the girls' week. We get there. Not only is there no booth, the apparel is brought from Winnipeg via our parents.
Yeah.
The boys, let's talk about it. The boys still have a website up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can purchase any boys' clothing from any Brick Series tournament now.
Yeah. 2 weeks later.
2 weeks later, online, shipped to your house.
Yeah. You couldn't even buy it there in person.
For the girls, you couldn't even buy a hoodie there.
Yeah.
You know, because I for sure wanted something for Harry. I was going to get him a t-shirt or something like that. And there was legit nothing.
Yeah. So I feel like we're scrambling a little bit on some of this. We've kind of broken down some of these things. Let's just rattle this off a little bit. The ones that we haven't talked about, we will. Mm-hmm. But so this is a section that we've coined, just for the arena. So when we show up, there's a brick logo on the ice. There is no War for the Roses, but there is a West Edmonton Mall, which everyone knows that they're in.
Yeah.
On the ice in 2 spots. They had every past winner of the brick hanging hanging around the arena. Those all came down, and they hung none for the girls. There were sponsorship banners that were up from the brick that they just left up and had post dated, up until July 12th.
Yeah. So it was the main banner. Sorry to kind of interrupt you here. The main banner that you would see was for the tournament the week before, with the wrong date, the wrong logo, nothing of War for the Roses on it, but they just kept it up for the week.
Yeah. So the VIP area that we talked about went away. There was no security. The players needed no credentials whatsoever to get anywhere in the arena. They brought in new broadcasters. The referees. So one of the things with the brick is it's the boys and fans have talked about for years is that the referees are in brick branded jerseys, red and black jerseys, and they don't wear buckets.
And they don't wear buckies.
And when we got there, that was clearly optional because we had some games where one ref wore a helmet and one ref did not.
Yeah.
But they were not in branded jerseys. They were in some regular, must be hockey league that's in Edmonton.
Yeah, must have been just a league in Edmonton or whatever.
Yeah. The walkway down to the dressing rooms is full of past players who've played in the brick since 1990.
Yeah.
There is plenty of wall space for the last 3 years of girls. But there are no girl names, and the boy names from 2022 are up by the time we stepped down.
I was just gonna say, so even to add on to that, so it's a very cool wall. It's got names all the way from 1990 all the way across, and they underline your name if you make it to the chell. I'm pretty sure that's the criteria. Mm-hmm. So then you go around the corner, and it's this massive brick sign. So when you're walking out of the room, it says, "You are now walking onto the same ice surface as all the most incredible 10-year-olds in the whole world." Whatever. Yeah. It's a cool experience. Yeah. But the thing that made that so interesting, because we're looking at it and we're like, that's pretty cool. The 2022 names were already on the wall so that the boys that were there that year could see their name on the wall.
Yeah.
It was that important to them to have that done.
Yeah.
And there's literally no sign of anything female related once you go down in that tunnel.
No.
Zero.
No.
That was crazy to me.
Nothing. The fact that, we talked about this, that the brick is called the Brick, which we understand is sponsored by the Brick. Mm-hmm. But it does get a little tiresome as a female when you see names of sports teams that could just be kept for the girls. We don't need a soft, cushy name.
Yeah. Like,
we don't need to be, that cuddly, cute thing. And the fact that we needed to rebrand as War for the Roses feels very feminine. I think it's a cool logo. I think it's a cool name.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is something to be said about the fact that it couldn't just be the brick.
Yeah. Brick female.
Girls Week.
Yeah. The female brick.
Yeah.
The female brick week, because you think about just the connection that you would have with it, because like even watching the draft the other night, if one of the boys that was drafted to the Chell played in the brick, they say it.
Yeah. It's held at such a high regard.
It is such a high standard. I was like, isn't that when they're 10? And it's like, yeah, so if they win the brick, the Mem Cup, the whatever, they say the brick.
Yeah.
They say that you were in the brick.
When you were 10.
When you were 10.
Yeah.
When you're drafted to the NHL.
Yeah.
Like, it's
wild.
It's absolutely wild. So you're right. Like, what was the thought process behind, instead of, because like, let's get real. You would make your life easier when it comes to a logo standpoint, when it comes to a branding standpoint, when it comes to everything.
Yep.
We certainly would have knocked off a couple of these off of our list if it was just the female brick tournament.
Yeah, because the logo would have been on the ice already.
Because the logo would be on the ice. The banners would already be made.
How cool would it be that you'd make one program? Because the girls didn't get a program.
Because the girls did not
but
get a
you just
program.
make a brick program, and the first 4 pages are the first week, which is the boys' teams, and the last 4 pages are the girls' week, which is the girls' teams.
Yeah, well, there's 2 boys.
There you go.
Well,
the first 8 pages are the boys' teams. The last, I don't care what it is.
Yeah,
but
no,
you
I know.
make one program.
And it has everybody in it.
Everyone in it. And that is your keepsake. So now not only are you now promoting your male and female athletes, so if we had on the ice the next MPP, that a kid who was at the brick can say, I was on the ice, I shared a tournament with that person, and vice versa for the girls.
Exactly. Like, and I've been to Warren, Manitoba for a Saturday night A2 game and received a program.
That's right.
And received a program. Yeah. I have been in the most random facilities, Oakville, Manitoba, and I've gone to watch Adam A2 and I've received a program.
That's right. And
what the hell?
The fact that as we left the rink after talking about the VIP area that was getting taken down, and the fact that the broadcasters were going home and they were going to bring in some other ones. And by the way, HN Live, who they brought in as the broadcasters, did an absolutely bang up job. So I don't know what the boys had. I did not watch the boys stream, but that if that is what they considered, and I hope it wasn't that they considered second tier, but if you ever need someone to stream a game and make your kids feel like absolute professionals, HN Live.
HN Live, without a doubt.
Incredible.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
They were awesome. But it's just, it continuously, like, you're right. Like, why is there always different? Like, why would it be considered second tier? It makes me uncomfortable saying it, to be honest. Like, it makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're halfway through the list, everybody, for the arena.
Yeah. So the very first game, we were shocked at that. We've been to some tournaments where there was no floods, but this one was supposed to be the big one.
Creme de la creme.
And we get out there and we're asking, and there are no floods. So our first game, 2 games, or was it just first game? That week was a blur. Anyways,
I think it was our first 3 games that didn't have floods.
We started the tournament with no floods.
Yeah.
Because they didn't obviously schedule enough time to have floods. Until people started to complain for player safety, because that is the hottest arena I have ever experienced in my entire life. Kids were running out of water in their water bottles because we didn't have the opportunity to go back to the dressing room. And so with enough complaints, they added in a flood. So it alternated depending what game you got. You either got the 1-2 or the 2-3. You either started on dirty or clean ice standard. But the fact that it was about player safety that made them change their minds. And the fact that in getting a flood, we had to give up O Canada.
Yeah.
and the Star Spangled Banner, the national anthems.
Yeah.
We had to ditch those to allow for a flood for player safety. That's gross to me. That is super gross to me.
It's insane. It's insane. When you talk about the profile of what this tournament is, one of the things that our team, it's a part of, and we made this, we stitched O Canada into our fabric of our warm-up, of our identity, and there's not one team that can't say that the way that the girls sang the whole anthem, screamed True North, wasn't infectious, but it's because it's part of the game.
Yeah.
But we would find out either when we came back to the bench, we'd be listening over the intercom to see if we'd be getting a flood or the anthem that day. We didn't know. They wouldn't tell anybody. And for them to say it's about player safety just about killed me. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? And the fact that we're trying to be as prepared as possible for these girls, because the girls have worked their tails off for months getting ready for this tournament. We run onto the ice for our first game.
No pucks.
You almost can't even make that up. You can't even make that shit up.
Yeah, there's an email that goes out ahead of time saying that the tournament's going to supply pucks. So Addie and I, very routine. Okay, great. We don't need pucks. So girls, they are routine. They go blasting out onto the ice, and we go running to the dressing room to rummage through hockey bags to scrounge up 8 pucks.
Yeah, and the DJ, this was so funny too. The DJ was looking at the girls because before the girls would go on the ice every single time, he would say, "Are you ready?" And we're kind of like, Not really. If you could slow down a little bit, that would be great. As we're like running back down the stairs to hopefully have a girl. So I think we ended up with 6 pucks for a whole first warm up at the tournament. But that was hilarious. It was hilarious from the standpoint of like, we just got into figure it out mode. We're like, DJ, slow down. We got to find some pucks. But then in the same token, why would you send out an email saying that all this stuff is going to be there and then it not be there? Like,
I know. And then the fact that, then they did go and get pucks, but then they gave you 8 pucks. It was like, well, that's all you threw out when you had to find them.
Yeah. So isn't that all you need?
We'll give you 8. It's like, oh my God.
Oh, Lordy. Yeah. That was crazy. And then even to go off of player safety, with all of, them talking about water bottles. And we don't know, we didn't see this happen, but apparently one of the coaches there that has a higher standard than other coaches, which not higher standard, but thinks he is, just called for a flood one day. Needed, nope, flood. Let's do this. And then next thing you know, it's about player safety, because everyone's like, hold up. Yeah. Is that a flood? Yeah. Is the Zamboni going around right now? But there was for the girls, no trainer.
No.
There was no AT on staff for the girls. There was nothing of that sort.
No. So for them to coin that was about player safety when you don't have, there was no medical area that we were shown. There was
nothing.
No staff, no nothing. So I don't think that player safety was ever held in a super high regard.
No, I don't think that it was the front of their minds. Because for our team specifically, I can speak for our team specifically, we had 2 major hits.
Yeah.
We had a really big hit from behind. Yeah. And then we had a really big
open ice
head hunting hit.
Yeah.
And part of the game.
Yeah.
Part of the game. Yeah. Oh yeah, I've been smoked. I've been rocked. Like, let's get real. Same. Still rattling around in there.
Let's be honest. I've been on both ends of those.
Yeah, that's right.
Give and receive.
That's right. So, but at a tournament like this, we've been at spring hockey tournaments forever. Yeah. And it should not be a parent or a coach walking on the ice to make sure a kid is safe. No. It should not be that way. If you are going to ask and people are going to come to your tournament and they're going to spend thousands of dollars to come to your tournament, have an AT there.
Yeah. Yep.
Point blank, period. Have an AT
no
there.
Question. Yeah, there's no ifs.
We shouldn't have it so a girl gets like rocked from behind. Our girl got up after that, but for the headhunting one, she didn't.
Yeah.
And why is it me?
Yeah. Because you're faster than me.
And I'm like,
neither of us, yeah.
And it's like, it just doesn't make sense to be like, because this kid could be injured.
Yes.
And we know that there were other big hits that went out there. But then also the fact that when a big hit does happen in a 2-man reffing system, you can't, let's call a spade a spade. The refs did the best that they could. It was a 2-man reffing system. You cannot see everything.
No.
And if you can't see everything, you have to have a platform where people can submit respectfully why they feel this should be reviewed with video, and then go down for further conversation later on. It needs to be done correct. It needs to be done in the right way.
Process.
It's a process. It's not like you can go around like an animal, like losing your mind. But to me, that's standard. To me, that's standard practice where something happens, it may have been missed on the ice, emotions are hot, everybody has a cooling down period after the game. You go, you clip the video, you discuss with your coaching staff if it's something you'd like to move forward with and getting protest. And you write an email, you submit the video, and you discuss it later. You don't do it in the moment, whatever. No protests allowed at this tournament.
So we followed that process, assuming that it was a thing. And then we got a response back saying, no protests. That would open a can of worms, man. And it's like, can of player safety. That must be tough to have.
If we allowed protests, that would open up a can of worms. It's like, maybe that's the worms can of worms we want to open. I don't know if something happened. So there was just a lot of things that like you would think are very standard.
You would think are very standard.
And we're just not. So we essentially just got a no, and then we moved on. Like, what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, and at that point, you're trying to shield the kids from it too.
That's right.
We don't need them to get caught up in any of that. We're not going to change it. And so it was, okay, that was our effort. And we also need that the players and the parents to know that we're doing our part to make sure that their kids are safe. And so that's what we did. And unfortunately, there was no protests allowed, but we carried on.
That's right. Because our emotion is the kids' emotion.
Yeah. So that outside of the fact that we did have, the only other thing that was just a note on there was Instat. And so, this was something that has been provided in past years that was supposed to be provided this year, which would have allowed us and would have given the kids an opportunity to experience hockey in a different way, to have a further analysis of, instead of us just saying, hey, instead of every time you cut the blue trying to tiptoe dangle, this is how many shots you got blocked from the high slot. And those sort of supporting statistics that were supposed to be provided to us, we never got. We emailed because it said that it was going to be provided, and Instat was definitely not provided. And even you're right, like even with it's no secret to every coach in the world that our kids are becoming more visual. They want to see. They want to understand it from that perspective. We talk a lot about being creative and feeding off the scenario. And hockey is changing. It's not going to be the same situation every time, right? So for that, to put this tournament in the category in which it was presented to us, Instat was a part of that. And we did not get Instat. We did not. So that was the list for the arena.
Yeah.
There is more. And I think we're going to continue to rattle these off because we want to just paint this picture of the fact that what could have been a copy and paste scenario. Let's just remember that.
Yeah.
Hours before the girls walked into that arena, A tournament was set up that has been established for 33 years that they could have left up and let the girls run. They didn't. So,
but Cowie, shouldn't the girls just be grateful for being there? Shouldn't the girls just be grateful?
Yeah. So that's one of the things that we were talking a lot about this during the week, because I think that's also important too. We can sit here and say this on a podcast. Not everyone's going to tune into the podcast. And so every opportunity that Addie and I had throughout the course of the week, we talked about it. Mm-hmm. And we did get mixed reviews. And there are still some parents who are. And don't get us wrong, so are we.
Yeah,
we are
that's right.
super freaking grateful that these kids get opportunities like this that we never had. We're grateful that we get the opportunity to come and be a part of this process. But in 2022, we have got to move past grateful, and we need to continue to be humble and grateful, but be able to hold people accountable. And that's what we're doing.
Exactly. And to go off of what you were saying before, because that was the conversation we had probably 10 times.
Yeah.
Is, oh, I'm just grateful my daughter has an opportunity. It's like, we are too. You have no idea what it's like to be as immersed in hockey as we were, and be able to see that these girls get an opportunity like this, that us and thousands of girls would have killed for.
Yeah.
But when you look at a scenario, they were taking advantage of it. They were taking advantage of just be grateful you get this. Like, because
that's exactly what the organizers did.
That's exactly what the organizers did in this situation. They will
just be grateful they get the opportunity to be here, and it's time to call bullshit.
And enough is enough, because everyone said, oh, well, you have to remember the brick has been up for 33 years. Exactly.
Sounds like they should have had it perfected by now. We just need to leave it up.
Copy and paste that bad boy, because there's a lot of things that we're going to get into, because this is a big tournament, not only for the kids and for the whatever, but for parents and to experience it for their kids. So we're going to get into that section now too, because you're going to see the thing that is hard for me in a lot of sense is because I've done a lot of organizing.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things we're going to be going over is somebody actively not.
That's right.
Organizing it for the girls.
Yeah, that's right.
Actively scheduling things and just leaving out the girls.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to say that kind of in the middle of the show, that we get it. Yeah. We get how cool this is. Yeah. We understand. Yeah. But we also understand the other side of this as well, which we're trying to shine a light on here, because some of these next ones are to be honest, are crazy.
Just blatant cut it off the list. That's what it is.
It's crazy. It's crazy the fact that we're going to go through all these next ones here, and somebody actively, I'm going to say it one more time,
made a choice,
made a decision.
That's right.
To not include the girls. And that's the way that this needs to be viewed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, one of the very first things that we were told is, so that stream, so the broadcasters, HN Live, is who we had, like we said.
Awesome.
Tip top.
Tip top.
But the boys, every family member, grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, friend, cousin, brother, teacher, doesn't matter, back home, parent who couldn't go, sister who had fastball, could watch the boys play at the Brick for free. You can still log in and watch the boys
for free.
Play for free. That took place 2 weeks ago. The girls, on the other hand, cost parents $80 to get the pass. And honestly, we don't know, but seemingly minutes after that week ended, it is now $12 a game to watch. Addie and I wanted to go back and watch some of the games. I'm not paying $12, just out of premise.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they make it so easy to be a fan of the boys.
Yeah.
They make it so easy to be a fan. They make it easy to get merch. They make it easy to watch the games. They make it easy for them to feel part of this community. They make it easy.
Yeah. And they make it hard.
And they make it.
Girls.
That's
and
right.
The fact that there was a promo code. So one of the parents told us that there was a promo code that would give you a discounted rate off of what it costs to watch the girls. And when they went on there to try and use the promo code, it didn't work. And then when they tried to make some phone calls on what the hell was going on with the promo code, the people who put out the promo code had no idea the promo code even existed, and it really went nowhere. So clearly wasn't organized by the organizing committee of this.
Yeah.
Or person of this, I don't know. But yeah, you're right. It's really hard to be a fan of the girls' game when you make it that tough.
Yeah, for sure. And we needed to piggyback off of some people who did end up buying it because we didn't have Instat, so we couldn't watch any of the games because it wasn't provided to the coaches either. So just a little side note there. But even too, so when we talk about in the beginning when Cowie and I first went to the facility to talk, we found out that there was an all-star game. Mm-hmm. And immediately in our heads, we go, bing, oh my gosh, we don't have anything ready for an all-star game. How do we submit names if we need to submit names? How do we go about doing this? Yeah. A skills competition, all these different things, because we're like, oh my gosh, because like we were talking about before, it's as coaches, for me, one of the biggest aspects is to be prepared. Yeah. We want to be prepared for everything, and we want to make it, because when we're prepared, we can go above and beyond to do little things to make it more special. Yeah. If you're constantly scrambling, then it's a game of catch up. If we're prepared for every situation, we can make it special for the kids because we're not worried about those small little details. Right. So I find out that there's this all-star game and a skills competition and on and on and on. So I wanted to find out more details. Did they pick the girls? Do we have to submit names? How do we organize this to make sure that we've got our girls submitted on time and everything's ready? There is no all-star game or skills comp for the girls.
Yeah. Yeah. Which we found out after the fact from fans who've been fans of the Brick for a long time, that is one of the most held in high regard portions of the Brick. And they just hit the delete key on the agenda when they were typing it out for the girls.
Yeah. Yeah. That one makes me a little sad. Emotional. Yeah. What an opportunity. What an opportunity to give the girls something special. You know what I mean? Like, what an opportunity. Make it mandatory for every team to be there. Have them come. Only girls along the glass. Like, parents up over top. Mm-hmm. This is for the girls. Mm-hmm. This is for the girls. Mm-hmm. And so finding out that, once again, to go back to that word I said before, when making the tournament, they actively deleted it.
Yeah, that's right.
And so...
yeah.
That one stung.
Yeah, that one stung.
That one hurt real bad. Yeah. Another kind of cool, unique thing that we found out that happens for the boys that does not happen for the girls is a day at the water park.
Yeah, so for the kids and their families, they essentially block off time in the calendar throughout the course of the week of the Brick, and they get to go and have a day together with their opponents, with their peers on their own team, the parents included, at the water park. That does not happen for the girls. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what do you even, so when I go back to actively, think about that call. Hey, Susan, just the Brick calling again. Looks like we're going to do that 2 weeks again at the water park this year. That's all you need? Yep. Okay. Yep, we got it booked for you. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. You actively forgot about these kids.
No, they didn't forget. They chose not to. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Worse.
That's
worse.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's not the right way. They chose not to do it.
Yeah, there's lots of things they chose not to do. Like when they hand out the MVP, defense of the tournament, forward of the tournament, goal scorer of the tournament. For the boys, they invite someone who is, let's call them celebrity status, whether they're in the NHL or whatnot. They don't do it for the girls. Mm-mm. The player of the game awards for the boys were glass trophies all tournament. For the girls, quite honestly, I describe them as looking like they came out of the Budweiser box that had the little Stanley cups in them. Yeah. To me, they're just not to a standard. those same top tier awards for the tournament for the boys came with autographed sticks and skates. Didn't happen for the girls. The trophies that they gave out last year for the girls, because we have some parents who had kids went last year. This year they were half the size without the year. They don't even have the year on them. It just says player of the game. It just like we're starting, you can hear it. I can feel the frustration as we rattle through this list of you and I starting to go like, it's infuriating.
Yeah.
That they didn't forget. They just consciously chose not to do it.
Yeah. 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 There's no company, like they got skates and sticks and whatever, that's going to be like, hey, can you do another one for the girls? That's going to be like, no chance.
Girls
no,
play hockey?
wait,
No way.
that can't be right.
Yeah.
Do girls play hockey? Come on.
Yeah.
So, that was hard to, because the whole purpose, like as soon as, like, let's call a spade. Cowie and I noticed this stuff happening the whole time. Mm-hmm. Our primary goal throughout the rest of the tournament was to make sure the girls didn't notice and to make sure they felt like flippin' celebrities.
Yeah.
So team meals after the end of the game. No, we got to go. We've got a rezo. We're going, girls. We are team breakfast. We are team this. You are here because you are the best kids going to the best tournament. Yeah. And we went above and beyond to shield them, because within, the first, I'd say, I went
the first few hours I was in Edmonton was the first question. Hey, Cowie, hey, Addie, do you think that they're going to put our logo on the ice?
Yeah.
Hours. I was in Edmonton hours, and kids had been to the mall and I hadn't been to the mall. And that was what it was. I noticed they didn't have any girls' banners hanging around the rink. And so for you folks listening who think your kids don't notice, they notice.
They know.
Notice.
And for the girls that were at the rink when they saw the final game of the boys, like you were saying, we were there, like an hour? And we had girls coming up, and then another girl said, well, it's going to just be so cool to have our own like credentials like the boys get. And it's so hard. It's so hard to sit on the other side and be like, hey man, it's all just about having the best time. What comes, what doesn't, it doesn't matter. We have trained so hard to be here. We are going to put our best foot forward, and it doesn't matter what comes our way. We're going to tackle it because we're a team and we're together.
Yeah.
Because if we would have said, oh, well, did you notice you didn't get credentials? Oh, well, did you notice there's no logos? Oh, if we would have fed into that.
That's no good.
You can't.
No.
You can't. And, it was interesting for us to talk to parents who had boys in the brick previous years to their daughter coming, because they were expecting the same.
Yeah.
And we had, by the end of it,
they contributed to the list.
By the end of it, we had people coming up to us saying, hey, I heard you guys are talking about different things. Do you have this on your list? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had people actively seeking us out.
Yeah.
To be like, our boy got this. Our boys got this. This happened previous. This is what's going on. Blah, blah, blah. This is not okay. Whatever. Blah. And we were like, what?
Yeah.
Like the amount of things. And
the fact that the team that wins the tournament for the boys gets to go on an all-inclusive vacation to a compound by Toronto somewhere for the people who own or run this tournament. And it's a well-known thing. Your brother-in-law knew about it. Yeah. Everyone knows about it.
Everybody knows about this 2-day. You compete hard for this 2-day incredible compound.
Anyways, doesn't exist for the girls.
No chance.
No. And the fact that the organizers of the tournament, so we were hard on the guy at the start who we got passed to because he didn't have a lot of the answers. And then as the week went on, we very much understood that he got put in a tough situation too, and he didn't have the answers. And the person or people who organized this tournament it took off the day the tournament started. So they stuck around Edmonton for 2 weeks of the Brick, and then moved on to the next tournament. I think
where
it was
the
New
boys
York
were.
City, where the boys were, and left this gentleman in charge of the girls. And so thank you to that gentleman.
Yep.
He knows who he is.
Yeah, that's right.
For everything that he did to try and make sure that this ran smoothly. But the fact that the organizing people just up and take off as soon as the girls' week, that was a pretty telltale moment. And when they're the same gender as you and I, and they end up in the same bathroom, and I'm in a stall listening to them bitch about how much they hate Edmonton and want to get out of there,
Not good.
that makes you feel sick.
It makes you feel like she's not used to tournaments where there's female coaches.
Yeah,
So that was
her hiding place.
that was where she was trying to hide. So we knew right away, after listening to that, hearing a couple more things, that this guy was doing the best with what he had.
Yeah, that's right.
Doing the best with what he had. And, the other guy too that did a phenomenal job was the DJ. Banger. He was on point.
And he had the kids dancing, and he was super engaged with them, making sure they were amped up. He was on the grind all week. He was there early, stayed till the very end. That guy deserves a big round of applause as well.
Yeah, he was. But when you think about our days, right? Like when you think about our days, we were up at 6 every day, go. We were at the rink the whole time. He was pretty much the first person there and the last one to leave every day.
Right. That's right.
So
yeah,
that was
yeah. There, that list is long. That list is long. I think the one thing too, the fact that we know the Brick is a major sponsor of the Brick. That's why it's called the Brick.
right. Yeah.
From everything we can understand, the Brick is not a major sponsor of this tournament, which is probably why half of this stuff goes away. But who is in charge of running this? They also have a team in the tournament, and it was very evident that they were held at they just owned the rink, quite honestly. There was this weird mirrored figure skating room that looked like it should be kind of a coach's lounge. Had some drinks and stuff in there. One day I popped my head in, and it was, and I'm just going to say the name. It was Pro Hockey Ontario. And their coaching staff sits in this room. They're the ones who distribute the water bottles and stuff that they forgot about giving us our water bottles till the very last game. So hopefully every other team got their water bottles before they left, because we were there on Friday and teams weren't even playing anymore.
Yeah.
I also think they're set up for failure by the real organizers of this tournament, and that you shouldn't be coaches of a team in a tournament who are, and if you
running the tournament,
essentially running the tournament, and the perception of that you live in this room and that you're held to a higher standard than everyone else around you is gross.
Yeah, no chance. And yeah, just evident. It was weird that they were in charge of, like all the
BioSteels
but they just ran the show, which when you are a coach, if somebody came up to us and said, "Hey, you're in this tournament, do you want to run it?" We'd be like, no thanks.
Chance.
No thanks. Have you ever been on the other side of that? No way. That's to be honest, it's bush.
It is bush.
It's bush. So, and another thing too, and this is just more personal for me, that I wanted to make sure I got on today's show, because we've been going over a ton of stuff. But as a coach, I feel it's important for your body language, for your mannerisms, for how you present yourself as a human being to be of the highest standard.
Yep.
You have young women looking at you being like, how am I supposed to act? Whether you want that title or whether you want that responsibility or not, that is your job.
Yep.
So every time we go into a rink, we are on point. And I'm not trying to pump our own tires. I'm not trying to do that by any means, but we won a big game and we beat Toronto.
Yep.
And they did not come out to shake our hands after the game.
No.
I have never been more disappointed in 3 human beings that we had to actually walk over to their bench, shake their hands, I got a backhanded backside kind of limpy thing.
Yeah.
Totally unacceptable.
Yep.
Totally unacceptable. And I would say that to anybody.
Agreed.
And it is not okay.
Nope.
And everybody in that rink noticed.
Oh, how do you not?
How do you not notice?
And if you can't teach your kids to lose with the same humble attitude that they win with, like that was the part for us, is that, our girls celebrated, but they were also super grateful and respectful all the way around the rink.
All the way.
Didn't matter where. And we took some shit for it. You know, you want to talk about the same disrespect you feel there. Throwing jabs at 12 and 13-year-olds in the hallways 2 days later while they're filling their water bottle.
Yeah. Throwing a water bottle at a goalie on the ice, but no protests.
Yeah.
No protests. There's a level of integrity that comes with coaching at a high level like that. And I just hope that this opens up some eyes to not accept that behavior just because you wear a certain jersey or because you wear a certain jacket.
Yeah.
Totally unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree. And their kids that was the hard part for us, is that we shook hands with kids who were in tears. Mm-hmm. They haven't lost in a long time. And they were upset. And even between periods, when we went in to get a flood, the players are standing waiting for their dressing room to be unlocked. And they're asking, they're in there before we are, and they're asking, where's our key? Where's our key? And I have to say to the girls, your coaches are still on your bench. Talking to one player. And that was the part that I said to you when we left the rink, is that breaks my heart. In that they are 12 and 13 years old. And after the game, their coaches didn't go in and say a single peep to them after they lost. You have 12 and 13-year-old girls in tears. And they just walk away.
And here's the thing. Those kids are amazing. Those kids, like they ended up they won the tournament. They are amazing. Yeah. So talented, so gifted,
top to bottom too.
Top to bottom.
No holes.
They didn't have a hole.
No.
They did not have one weak link on that team.
Yeah.
Holy moly. Like, I'm not even like the natural skating ability of some of those kids. You can't that is natural given talent.
Yeah.
It was incredible. So to have an opportunity for a teaching lesson or a moment of reflection or whatever was completely lost because it was all about them, which was so weird. It was so weird. But that was a big one. You have to shake hands regardless of how I feel of a ref's performance or
it didn't matter.
It does not matter. No. You shake hands, you say thank you for the game.
Yes.
And that has been known from the beginning of time.
That's right.
So we've gone through a lot on this tournament, and I think by the tone of what this episode was going to be about, we were going to do it regardless. But I was really hoping that we weren't gonna have to do an episode like this, and I thought, but this is legit what happened. This is what happened for the girls at War for the Roses.
Yeah. And you're right, I didn't want to have to do it either. And it's time that, so whoever is listening to this, and before we get into that, let's end with something that's a little bit more positive. Mm-hmm. Like you said, Toronto up and down the roster, Manitoba, Connecticut, Boston, Alaska,
Minnesota,
Saskatchewan, Minnesota. Doesn't matter what team you looked at in that tournament. The talent at the 09 age level is so freaking good. The future of hockey in this country, in the U.S., in North America in general, is so, so, so bright. the interactions that we had with 98% of the coaches is super frickin' promising.
Unreal.
We had great interactions. Didn't matter. Like we say, Saskatchewan, Minnesota, BC. We can go down the list of great coaches who are doing all the right things for these girls to help them grow.
Yeah.
Our parents, all of the parents that we interacted with, the fans were super, super positive.
Yeah.
In an environment where if they took the wrong stance because they reach down and touch the hands of their girls as they do a flyby. In an environment where a negative attitude could have been super detrimental, we didn't hear it.
No.
And we didn't have to do, and not on our team or anyone else's team. The environment with parents was incredible. All of those things are the reason that we spent the last hour talking about this list, is because all of the people in it were there for the right reasons, because they love the game, because they love their children, because they love to coach, because they love to play. And now it's time for someone, and let us be the someone, to shine a light on the fact that this tournament held female hockey players at a second rate that they do their male athletes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
plain and simple.
That's what I mean. Like plain and simple.
Yeah.
Because even when you look at, like, they had a 4-man roughing system for the final, all female, great, cool. They kept on saying all female when those were just 4 incredible refs, right? 4 incredible refs reffed the final.
Yeah.
As well as even the small little thing of the jersey exchange. Like, that is the coolest idea ever. Yeah. What an incredible thing. Yeah. Mandatory for the boys, not mandatory for the girls. So we inherited a Minnesota girl, because we're like, get on in here.
Who's from Alberta?
Who's from Alberta? So, all those cool experiences. The girls walked away from the tournament, being able to say they played in West Ed, did all those things. Yeah. But we keep going. Could you imagine if they just did it the same way?
If they felt as celebrity status as the boys. Yeah.
Could you imagine?
And time to stop being grateful.
And time to...
Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah. Time to just stop it. The talent is too good.
Yeah.
The talent, the knowledge, the intensity, the competitiveness. We talk about this all the time. There are too many good people in this sport to have that.
Yeah.
Every single person that was there put their best foot forward, other than the tournament.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah. The best way to put it.
And it's time for... It's just time. It's, I feel like this is a really positive thing, right?
Yeah.
We're always, this is a positive thing.
It is.
And as we move through this, the one thing that we always do on the Beauty Sports Desk is we encourage conversation.
Yes.
If there is something that you heard that you want to talk about, if there's something that we missed, if there is something that you felt at this tournament for your daughter, or if you are listening and you have a boy that's either been in the brick or going to be in the brick, hold the same standard. Mm-hmm. Yep. Because we talk about that too. Beauties is an inclusive sports desk.
That's right.
We need parents of boys, girls, everybody across the board to be like, okay, wait, the girls don't get it, but my boys do?
Yeah.
Hang on a second. That doesn't seem right.
Mm-hmm.
And those small conversations, it's like anything, small things build into big blocks. We need to continue this conversation. We can't just have this be a one-off.
Yeah.
This needs to happen, because I'm not going to call my mom one more time and have her say, wow, you should be used to that. That's exactly what it was like 20 years ago.
Yeah. We're sick of it. We're used to
done.
it and sick of it.
Done.
Yeah, and you know, that's one thing that we talked about a lot when we were there, is we have the unique opportunity because we don't have children in it. And it's really hard. We understand that. It's really hard when your kids are in it.
Yeah.
To stand up and be that bold voice. And we're not asking you to do that. We're not, if you engage with us, you're not doing it so that we can throw your name out into the world.
Yeah, that's right.
That's absolutely not what's going to happen. But if there's something that you think we missed, like Addie said, or if you think we got something wrong here, if, you know, we're egregiously out to lunch on something, call us on it too. But we're certainly open to having more conversations about this if people are wanting to. And our biggest ask is that you share it.
Yeah.
You know, this needs to get out. And so Addie said it best before we hit record today. The podcast is free, and this week it comes at a cost of sharing it with at least one person in the hockey community or outside of that who you think would benefit from hearing this, because I think that's the only way that this episode specifically becomes impactful, is that the people who organize and run this and have the power to make a change and show girls that they are equally valued hear this episode. So this week, please, if you have an opportunity to do so, share this with a friend.
Yeah. Just, you know, and she's right. Like we genuinely want this conversation to continue. It's not just saying it. We want this conversation to continue. We want to have people engage with this content because of the authentic piece of, we are both hockey people that grew up in the hockey world. Neither of us have daughters that would, you know, benefit or whatever.
Or have repercussions.
You know, this is us just spilling out our hearts to these girls, to be honest, to be real. So by doing this, all we ask in return is please share this with one other person and then ask them to share it with one other person.
That's right.
Let's get the wave going. Let's get it continuing on. And let's start doing the right thing by our female athletes. Let's start doing it.
Agreed.
We've talked about this before. There's been a ton of progress, and we cannot we cannot take that away from anybody.
Yeah.
But it is time to put our foot down.
That's right.
And talk about it. So in pure beauty sports desk fashion, Cowie, final words.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the hour and going to be 10 minutes probably to listen to this episode. I think it's one of the most impactful and important ones we've had yet. If you don't already, make sure you find us on Instagram at Beauty Sports Talk. Same thing on TikTok, on Twitter at _Beauty Sports. We do have a voicemail, speakpipe.com/Beauty Sports. If you think of something that you want to talk about from this episode, that'd be a great place to do so. Addie, it was a fun week in Edmonton with you. It's fun to talk about this with you again. Can't wait to see you on the next one.
Thanks so much, everybody, and we will see you all next week.